Victimhood. Where would we be if we couldn't demand attention and sympathy by claiming sweet victimhood? You ever been around a group of little kids? You let them play together for any longer than 20 minutes, and you'll see a few of them will come up to you complaining and crying about, he took one of my toys, or the other kids won't share with me, or the other kids won't let me play. Kids are natural tattletales. They'll run and tattle to adults for all kinds of reasons. If the other kids hear the first kid complaining, they'll try and get in on the complaining and outdo the first kid. Every kid wants to be the one who had it the worst. Like, he hit me first. She keeps touching me. She keeps taking my toys, etc., etc. Child psychologists discuss tattling, saying it's done out of a desire for attention, status, revenge, and power. We all know those parents who pick up the complaining kid and give him a hug, pat him on the back, then they go yell at the other kids and tell them to stop picking on the complainer. Parents who take this approach give the kids everything that those child psychologists were speaking of. They get the parents' attention, they gain status over the other kids, they get revenge by having the parent yell at the others, and they get the power of showing that they have this parental governing body to protect them. Now think about it. This is many kids' first introduction into how playing the victim can get them power and attention. Adults who use victimhood can also get the same attention, status, revenge, and power when they complain about things that they think are going wrong. Apparently, it's almost instinctive if even kids are aware of the power that comes from playing a victim. But what happens when you aren't really a victim, but you still want the attention, the status, revenge, and power? Simple. Just victimize yourself or others from your same group and blame it on some other group. And then voila, national news coverage. If racism is such a problem in America, why do people feel the need to make up all these racial hoaxes these days?
And white supremacist threats on social media led to the arrest of a student. A tweet was made on a suspicious Twitter account named Cool Kids Klan, KKK, threatening attacks at Arundel High School. The account was created using a similar language to a racist petition found by school officials on Friday.
Police were able to track that back to a black 14-year-old female student who's now been charged.
Now, perhaps you didn't realize there were so many of these racist hoax stories, but there have been hundreds covered over the past few years, many of which have gone on to become well-known national news stories. The mainstream media covers the story when they think it has to do with racism, of course. But then, when they find out it's a hoax, they lose interest. Sure, they might make a footnote, but that still leaves most people to only recall the story as a real event. Others use it as a teaching moment to teach us about the racism that must still be lingering in the darkness somewhere close. An example of one of these racism hoaxes happened during the elections when a black church in Mississippi was burned down and spray painted with the words, "Vote Trump," on the side of the building.
4 units responded to the scene to discover a church fully engulfed in flames. The church was vandalized with the words, quote, "Vote Trump," unquote, on the side of the church. This matter is being investigated as a hate crime.
You know, you said that your first reaction upon hearing that the church was burned was that it wouldn't have been a white person and wouldn't have been a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered why you were so sure.
Because I know our community. I don't think the arsonist burned Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church for a political reason, period. I don't think they did it for a racial reason.
I cannot say that because I don't know what was in the person's heart that did it.
It's not what the community was expecting at all. Tonight, a member of the very church that was burned down is in custody. 45-year-old Andrew McClinton is himself an African American. He was arrested in Greenville, where Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church was burned and vandalized.
The New York Times called the incident An episode that comes amid rising concerns over possible violence in the final days of a polarizing and racially charged presidential race. But it was the media, for the most part, that was making the election so racially charged in the first place. It should be pretty obvious to people that the media loves a good race story. The 2016 elections put the media into race overdrive. News outlets were rushing in to jump on any story that dared to look like it might be racism. It would almost seem like their goal was to either prove that America was a horribly racist place or to get Americans into a race war. And for that reason, the fakers are up to the challenge of creating all these fake racist headlines. Fake racist headlines, or stories that have later been found to be false, are nothing new. We can look back at two of the biggest ones in the Tawana Brawley story or the Crystal Mangum and Duke Lacrosse case. Both had power and attention-hungry political hacks, journalists, and even school professors using the event for their agendas.
Today, after 7 months, 6,000 pages of testimony, and 180 witnesses, a grand jury found beyond any doubt Tawana Brawley's story is a lie.
Those allegations are untrue. The people who made those allegations lied. Their outrageous, irresponsible acts have increased the atmosphere of tension between the races.
What was wrong with us was crackers didn't choose us. I think a lot of the rhetoric, including mine, went too far.
This was a case that served differing agendas of differing groups. For Nifong, he wanted guilt because it would help his cause in the primary. For the Duke faculty members, portraying their own students as racist advanced an on-campus agenda of making more hires, dealing with topics of race, class, and gender, and requiring more courses in race, class, and gender. And for the New York Times, this was a case that fit very much the basic assumptions of a typical Times journalist.
Today, you can find a long list of fake race hoaxes on a website called fakehatecrimes.org. They provide links to news stories that have been found to be faked or hoaxed. Reading over all these multiple stories, I can't help but ask myself what goes through a person's mind to make them want to create or make up such a racial hoax. I mean, why would a person go through this kind of trouble? Moreover, why are people so quick to believe the hoaxes? I'm at a point now that when I hear about something racist being written on a car, truck, or wall, I just don't believe it. I mean, this just happened with the gentleman who wrote something racist on his car not long ago.
Riley County Police say the person responsible for vandalizing a car with racial slurs at K-State will not face any charges. 21-year-old Don Terrius Williams admitted he wrote those words on his own car, but he won't face charges for filing a false report.
I know that people are wanting to prove that racism is still a problem in America, and it may be a problem for a few people, but this isn't going to make it any better. For the most part, it's not a huge issue, though. The biggest issue dealing with racism is the media promoting it as a larger issue than it actually is. We have to ask ourselves why this is. Perhaps we should consider a political agenda. Perhaps we should consider that some people just want power and attention, like those little kids. Or perhaps we should just consider culture. All right, people, this has been Chi Brown for Consider Culture. Remember to hit the like button, share this, comment, subscribe, do all that. Come back, watch some more videos. I'll be here. All right.